Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Caps. I'm Isaac Anderson, author of Song of Bones and the Garden Maze. I'm joined by my co-host, Tim McKay, the author of The Fall of Salvandrea. And our very, very special guest is Nathan J Pearce, author of Faith Faraday, Daemon Hunter.
That's right.
Welcome to the show. Nathan? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing, fellas? It's such an honor to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. I've been watching episode after episode. I've been binging, so now I feel like I'm in an episode, which I guess I am, aren't I?
I feel like that's an even bigger feat with us, considering how long some of our episodes go. So
they are epic. They are epic. Yeah, don't tell my boss. I was doing work, not watching. But no.
Yeah, because awesome. You're in Mountain Time, right? You said.
Yeah. I'm in Loveland, Colorado. I love it here.
Okay. Yeah, so kind of just the end of the. Well, I mean, it's 6 o'clock, right? Yeah.
So 6 o'clock. It's not bad. It's
supper time. Yeah.
Beautiful place.
We'll try not to keep you away from your meal, but
it's all good.
Yeah. No, anyways, it's been great seeing you around on X. I think that's where we met originally, and going back and forth for a while. And, yeah. So, I mean, tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do. And well, let's start with what you do, and then about your book. We'll go to that.
Who is Nathan J Pearce?
Yeah, that sounds good. So I'm a debut author. This will be my first book of many. I have big plans. Nice. I am a director of user experience, which means software design, essentially designing how software acts and how it flows. First this screen, then that screen, that type of stuff. I've been in online video games for a while, and before I switched to enterprise software. So I worked for Atari in New York City, and I worked for Sony Online in San Diego for about 12 years. Wow. And I switched over to enterprise software, which means software inside of businesses and between businesses. So it's a lot more serious, but a lot more stable. Mm-hmm. And that started with Oracle in the San Francisco Bay Area, and but now I work remotely from Loveland, Colorado, and I got to pick where in the country because I work remote. I got to pick where, and I was like, I like Colorado, so we did some vacations out here, and I just love the state. It's just a beautiful state.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
How long have you been there?
I've been here about a year and a half. Moved up here from around the Houston area. I was supporting our son in Rice University. He graduated electrical engineering at Rice, and now he's at CU Boulder doing his PhD in electrical engineering. So I actually borrowed some of his brain a bit for the book because I have a lot of optics, optical physics in my books, and so I pick his brain. I was like, "Is this right?" And he's like, "Yes, Dad, it's right." So that's good. But when I graduated college, I thought I wanted to be a photojournalist because I really liked the mix of technology and creativity and how they blend in something as technical as lenses and film and all that stuff, and the creative aspect for it. But it doesn't pay very well at all, and I didn't know what I wanted to do for a while. And I really got inspired by the book Shogun. I'd already had an interest in Japan, and James Clavell's Shogun, which is a door stopper, as you guys like to say. I read it twice, and I raised some money putting ads in the newspaper for donations of garage sale items for a self-funded student to make a trip to Japan. And a bunch of people donated a lot of stuff to me. And I raised a couple $1,000s over a summer when I was about 19, 20. And I went to Japan. I taught conversational English in Tokyo for a year. And so my book is set in 2076 Tokyo, and it has a lot to do with artificial intelligence. And a good bit of it is my adventures there right after college. So that's the gist of it. And while I was there too, it's like the land of the future, really. And soon after I got back, they introduced some very groundbreaking dating technology, like the pre-internet dating technology. And I thought it was so fascinating. I translated it into massive multiplayer online games and got a solo patent through Sony for matchmaking inside a game. So if you're a cleric and I'm a paladin and you can heal and I can tank, right? We go out and we both have 3 quests in common and we both log in on Thursdays at 7. Well, the system's going to say, hey, you guys should be buddies. And it's that kind of intermeshing, interconnection between people and technology that I really love. And that's one of my 3 solo patents that I got through Sony. And I love being an inventor and doing this kind of thing. And I got to actually write that into the book too. So that technology is in the book as well.
That's so when we make something sci-fi or fantasy, we just make it up. You have the actual inside scoop on a lot of this stuff.
Some of it, but then I make up a whole lot of stuff too. So it's fun. You know, I really wanted things to be as close to plausible as possible. You know, it's not hard sci-fi, but it's believable enough. The suspension of disbelief is a really valuable mindset to preserve, and you don't want people going, "Oh, that's bullshit." So, but and with the technology and also with the Japanese culture, you know, I did spend a year there. I've read up a lot, I've researched a lot, but you know, I am not a native. I'm going to make mistakes, and so that's one of the reasons why I hired a Japanese cultural sensitivity reader to check all my stuff out. And man, she taught me a lot. Seriously, I learned so much. But I'm so glad I did it. I, you know, people were telling me, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just, you know, it's fiction. You know, it can be wrong." I'm like, I'd rather it be right.
No.
Yeah.
Did you? Cool.
That realism goes a long way.
Does. There's an authenticity there, and there's a trust level there, where, you know, I don't know. Some guys like Stephen King says, I just wing it. I don't care if it's wrong. And you got to respect the man, Stephen King. But I don't know. I would feel bad if I let something slip through that I could have caught. And it goes with the tech too. I'll research for 2 or 3 hours on a piece of technology, and it ends up being 3 sentences in the book. I'm like, man, geez, an hour per sentence is
author's curse right there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Research. Yeah, you use what, like a tenth, a fraction, 100th of what you do for research goes into the books.
Yeah.
So yeah. Did you so considering it's set 52 years in the future, how much does that change then the sensitivity aspects, or just the world building and like speaking of Japan, does it feel very distant from what you saw when you were there, or would someone in Japan recognize it?
They definitely would recognize it. But there's that's a great question. There are parts that my sensitivity reader was like, well, the emperor, it can't be a female emperor, Nathan. And I'm like, well, the first one was, and that's a very, very political issue. The first empress was female, and it's, you know, and it's a touchy subject in Japan. But I'm like, hey, 50 years, lots could happen. It might happen, right?
It's kind of your get out of jail free card in a way.
A little bit, sometimes.
You don't want to be too cavalier with that. But
no, and you want to be intentional too. It's not like it was an oversight or a mistake making the empress female. It was very intentional. It's most of the heroes are female in this book, and I thought it would be fun if the royalty was female as well. And anyway, I think if it had been an oversight, I would be very embarrassed. But it was very, very intentional.
Yeah. Is there anything you do? Because I'm thinking about that times where I've been not cavalier, but where I've been intentional. I've done something I knew would upset someone, and then you try to find ways to make it clear it was intentional and that there is an explanation. But you can't always please everyone, right? How do you get around?
Call that hang a lampshade on it, right? That's the phrase when you're doing a trope or something, and you want people to know, I did that on purpose. So they call hang a lampshade on it, and I think that's a good thing to do, to call it out. Sometimes people do that with like a character in the will say, "Isn't that a conspiracy theory, or isn't that bullshit?" One of your characters says to another one, to sort of bring attention to it, that this is something that the author intended. But there's other things too, like in my book, the Empress is very excited about the technological revolution that Japan has gone through. She does a big speech at a festival where there's a Yabusame tournament, which is horseback samurai archery, which is really amazing. I researched the hell out of that. That was amazing. But my feedback was she was so excited. She sounded a little bit imperialistic, and that's not good considering World War II and all the bad stuff that happened with Japanese imperialism in World War II. And so I was like, oh, well, that was not intentional. So I dialed it way back and redirected it from rah, rah Japan to like rah, rah technology instead.
It's a bit of a pivot for sure, but
it still worked though. I mean, she's still excited about the innovation, and Japan's always been excited about innovation.
Yeah.
So it felt natural.
Well, what is your book about?
Yeah, it's a book about AI and sisterhood. There's Faith Faraday and her twin sister Hope live in 2076 Tokyo, and they are half Danish, half Japanese, and their father is Danish, and he kind of wanted his kids to look like him, so he used CRISPR to alter their genes a little bit. So they got the blonde hair, blue eyes from him, and they got other aspects from mom. And Hope is an astronaut, and she joins a mission to a colony spaceship to go to another star system, the first one that mankind has ever launched, and it blows up on launch. And the book is about the mystery of why that happened, how and why. Was it an accident? Was it sabotage? What happened? And Faith is a daemon hunter, which is daemons are AI, rogue AI that gets inserted into code that is disguised as a bug. So if a robot goes crazy and kills somebody might say, oh, that was a bug, it just malfunctioned. No, that was a daemon that was stuck in there in order to assassinate somebody. And that's what daemon hunters do. They suss out, is this a bug? Is this a malfunction? Or is this malicious, intentional code that's stuck in there? So Faith's like, I don't know if that spaceship blew up by accident or if somebody wanted to sabotage Japan. So I'm going to find out, because that's kind of her job. She's a detective. It's a little bit like Men in Black was for aliens. It's a law enforcement agency that's somewhat secretive, not as secretive as Men in Black. And there's no flashy things, unfortunately. But
unfortunately,
maybe no.
Next book.
But she goes into I do an in media res beginning, like in the midst of things.
Yeah.
The inciting incident is the explosion of the spaceship, and it's before the book starts, which I've been told is verboten. So I've been told, no, Nathan, you can't do that.
No prologues.
Well, no, I took a seminar on the plotter software, and they said you they didn't say have to, but the formula is show a slice of life, the hero in their regular day-to-day life, and then the inciting incident happens and everything goes sideways, and then they have to deal with it. And that's very, very common. But I kind of felt like it'd be more fun if you've seen like Mission Impossible movies where Tom Cruise will start like the opening scene, he's doing something, he's infiltrating somewhere, it's in the middle of action, and then you figure out from the context what he's up to and why. Sometimes in flashbacks, sometimes in dialogue,
or sometimes that's like Mission Impossible is really, think of Mission Impossible 3 starts with what the scene, one of the most pivotal scenes in the movie, close to the end. That's what you see first.
Oh yeah,
right? And then it zooms back and gives you the
how you got there,
the build up. Yeah, I mean, so I don't like when people put too many of these rules on stories. I think there are many ways.
I think that one of the reasons that happens is some folks, this is their full-time job, right? And they have a deadline, and they have a lot of stories to put out, and sometimes a formula might fit the bill. If you have to put out, I mean, this book, I've been writing this book for 5 years. If I had to put out like 3 of these a year, I might be saving the cat all year long.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
But so Faith decides to infiltrate the hollow, which is, imagine skyscrapers inside of Mount Fuji, in the hollow of a hollowed out bunker style Mount Fuji. and that's an R&D area. And she pretends to deliver pizza to the user experience department, because I know what that's about. And nobody's ordered any pizza, but she pretends like she's there to deliver pizza. And it was so funny because in my various editing phases of this, I know I got a developmental editor, I got the cultural sensitivity reader. The book is now with a copy editor, but I ran it through Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid and AutoCrit. And Pro Writing Aid was like, I don't know, man, this pizza delivery infiltration thing is kind of not plausible, really. But it's actually a true story. It's something that I did when I was trying to get a job. I was in San Diego, and I had been laid off, and it was quite a while I'd been laid off. It was getting really bad. And there was a online company about a mile away from my house who had a role that I could go for. And the HR folks were sandbagging me, and they wouldn't even tell me the name of the hiring managers. I really wanted to get the email address from the hiring manager and just email he or she and plead my case, right? Try to make a direct appeal, because these HR guys can be a real barrier. And he wouldn't tell me. So I went and I printed up 3 versions of my resume. One was a 1-pager. One was kind of like recent history. It had like 2 or 3 pages. One was like everything I've ever done, my paper, my newspaper route, my Cub Scout cookie drive. No, but it was really long. And so I went to the local Pizza Hut, and I put them in little plastic sleeves, these resumes, and I ordered a cheese pizza, and I put the simple resume, taped it to the underside of the box, and then like a meat lovers or whatever, and then a supreme pizza, medium resume, large resume, and I put them all in there. And then I told the pizza guy, the manager, I was like, I'm gonna try to deliver these and try to get into this department and find out who the hiring managers, maybe meet the team. And he's like, oh man, good luck, whatever. And I said, can I borrow one of your thermal bags, sort of make part of the costume, right? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. I didn't have a shirt or anything, but
wow.
And then he took a picture of me. I think Tim might have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we have a picture here.
Yeah,
this cracks me up. This really cracks me up.
So I said, can you take a picture of me outside your place? And he does. He takes this shot, and then I go there, and I go up to the security desk, and I try to get in, oh, no, that's good. I love ESO. That would be a good solution for ESO tanks. I get to the front desk, and the security guys are like, who's this pizza for? And I'm like, I don't have a name. And they're like, well, we need a name. I don't have one. And they're like, who are you? And I'm like, oh man, this is not going well. I'm going to get busted. And then this guy there was a gym inside the office building. This guy comes out, obviously coming from the gym, shorts and t-shirt, a water bottle, towel, very sweaty. And he says, I said, I'm just trying to deliver this to the user experience team, and he overhears me say that. And he goes, oh, I know where they are. Follow me. And then the security guys are like, that's not right. But they let me go anyway. And then the gym dude leads me to the building to the side. I was in the wrong building, and leads me into the elevator. And he says, oh yeah, get off on the 3rd floor and take a left down the hall right there. And he just lets me loose inside the office building. And so I go down there and I meet the UX team, and I give them the pizza and I tell them the story. Most of them think it's awesome. And I get the hiring manager who's like in meetings all day, but I get her name and her phone number and her email and stuff. And she gets, oh yeah, there's
resumes here too, eh?
Those are the resumes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
And I got the interview. I came in and interviewed for it, and she liked me, and one of her lieutenants liked me, but her other lieutenant would not even look me in the eye. He thought I was some kind of serial killer to infiltrate the office building. So I'm pretty sure he blackballed me. I didn't get the job, but it's things. I got another job. But anyway, the reason I tell this story is because this is the first chapter of Faith Faraday and the Cyber Samurai. Faith infiltrates the Hollow office building as a pizza delivery person from Domino's Pizza, which has been with all the pandemics that have happened in the last 50 years, Domino's Pizza is trying to compete with all the other delivery places. So they change one letter in their name, and they change it to Domino's Pizza. and they go with an all dominatrix delivery staff.
Oh gosh.
So Faith shows up in the black biker hat and the leather and the latex and the furry handcuffs and delivers the pizza and gets in exactly the same way I did in real life.
I'm never going to be able to think of Domino's pizza the same again.
Yeah. What's funny is that after I thought that up, I Googled it, and somebody had made a Redbubble magnets based on the same thing I thought of, Domino's pizza.
Pretty good.
No,
That's pretty good.
There's nothing new under the sun.
I know that was a little sad. I was kind of like, that's cool. They thought of it, and I was like, oh man. It's cyberpunk. It is not hard sci-fi, but it is definitely cyberpunk, sci-fi, action adventure, techno thriller. That's the very short genre name I've come up for it.
Sure. Yale made a good point too about realism. I wanted to bring this back up. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes the effort to be realistic can bring out our biases even more than if we just had skipped it. So I get that. I very much get that. Sometimes you see caricatures disguised as realism, which can be hard to avoid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like Hooters for pizza. I mean, yes.
Actually, I say that in the book. It's like I say, like Hooters, only edgier. That's the line from the book. But I do that a lot I like the idea of in the future different businesses merging. So there's Google and Uber merge in my book, and they're called Goober.
Goober.
And it says we already know where you want to go.
Wow,
and
that's creepy.
Red Bull and Lyft merge, so it's called Bull Lyft, and you get a discount on your ride if they're allowed to do loop to loops and film you. So I have a lot of.
So is it a little bit satire too?
Not. I mean, there's jokes here and there, like I wouldn't call it satire, but there's definitely tongue in cheek jokes in there. I won't give them all away, but there's a lot of fun ones. Yeah. I can't give the whole thing away, but it's I do have a lot of fun. And
what are some of your influences for it?
Oh, for that, the one I was about to tell you was about love hotels, and I didn't actually go into one as a client when I was there in Japan, but I did check one out. I got kicked out quite promptly when I walked into the lobby, but that's actually one of them. They get into a cab to go to Mount Fuji. And they end up at Mount Fuji Love Hotel instead of Mount Fuji itself. And but Faith is like, I think I could make this work because they're trying to hide from their pursuers. And so she very much like MacGyver, she does takes what's at hand and deals with it in very clever ways.
Fun.
MacGyver. Cyberpunk MacGyver.
Cyberpunk MacGyver.
Yeah. My mind went to Cyberpunk 77. So,
it's the selection of the year was intentional around Cyberpunk 2077. I obviously didn't want to use that same year, but what I did is I did research into all the technologies I'd come up with, like how far away are these collectively? What year is believable? Death joke, more jokes than deaths. Oh, hey,
okay,
it's the Lion's Pen. Hey. EL, I love her.
Well, how many people are in this colony ship that blows up?
About 500.
So that's a lot.
More than 500 jokes.
Oh, that's a good point. You know what? But that does happen before the book starts, so I guess I have an out.
I'm willing to give a pass on
those.
Yeah,
we can't include all of human history and all that death, I guess.
Yeah,
that's good. Oh man, but yeah, Lion's Pen was our second or third guest, and I mean, third. I think third guest.
Number 3.
And yeah, Lions EL is one of the good ones, one of the absolute gems on X, especially.
It's got that double pun score, the pen and the lion's den and the lions, and it's all really good.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell it's not.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth there, and I tell you, that's I'm so glad to see some familiar names in the chat because I just really love the X Twitter, indie author community is just so helpful. I have noticed I've been collecting the websites for every author I come across, I have a little bookmark folder. I keep them all because obviously I'm interested in websites. It's what I make for a living. And I've noticed quite a few of the TradPub authors explicitly don't have a Twitter account. Like, you look at their social bar and it has everything under the sun. It has Blue Sky. Of course, it has Insta. It has TikTok. Insta seems to be the place to be. But a lot of them just, do not, for the obvious reasons we won't get into here, but a lot of them explicitly avoid Twitter. And that makes for a vacuum. I think they should at least have placeholder Twitter accounts so that we could report the imposters more easily.
Yeah.
Because when you go to report somebody for impersonating somebody else, Twitter asks you for what's the real Twitter handle, and then the person doesn't have one, and you're like, how do you report them? So, but anyway, all that said, I think the X indie author community is pretty tight, and thankfully we don't let too much of the ugliness that happens elsewhere on X, leak into our fun that we're having.
Some drama, but no, it's
a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. I like the off cycle. I like the off seasons in between the dramas. But you get some interesting stuff on TikTok, and that does seem to be where a lot is blowing up. Like you said, Instagram has been the more long-standing. I've tried out Blue Sky. I've tried out Threads. I am on Blue Sky. I got off of Threads because it just seemed pointless after a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know what I think all of us, you experiment and you put yourself out there. I can sympathize with those who only focus on maybe 2, max 3 spots. And if you end up forgetting to make an account or just never do on a few of the other spots that you don't have the time or attention for, I can relate to that, because I do think you get more out of putting, more into 1 or 2 accounts than stretching yourself too thin, which I see some authors do early on, and it's exhausting. It's so exhausting.
Yeah, I think that's a good tactic but I don't know. I'm very new to all this. But from my, I've been in social media for a while, from the video game perspective, and I think my advice would be to go ahead and make those placeholder accounts and just in your bio say, I'm over here. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Insta. Go find me there. Don't look from here, because at least then you have the name reserved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can just put a link tree as your, you can get a link tree and put that as your designated link on Instagram, on X, and that way people know where to find you everywhere else.
Yeah.
I say that and I don't do it, so a little hypocrisy here. I have my Amazon book link. That's it. But I get it. I really do. The other way around that is just use a consistent handle. But if your handle isn't always available,
my handle is always available.
There you go. True. Yeah. Zoofree.
That's good. I noticed that, Tim, when I was trying to email you today. Twitter wasn't allowing me to look at my messages. I'm like, how do I get a hold of Tim? And I was like, where's his website? And I'm like, but I found your email on the YouTubes, so that was good.
Yeah, well, some of that's by design. I get inundated with emails enough as it is. So yeah, we have our all caps one, but oh boy, I do have an author email, and oh my gosh, I am trying to discontinue it, because when you put yourself out there as an author from day one on social media and with a website, the scammers come in force.
Yeah,
that blows me away. It's a whole industry. There's an entire industry. So
it's very disconcerting, and of course the book marketers ones seem to rear their head early, but I tell you that for anybody watching this who's been approached by artists that you're worried about, a really high, like, I hate to say it, but 8 out of the last 10 artists on X who've approached me in the DMs, I go to their portfolio, I go right click Google image search on something that looks really good in their portfolio, and I find out 8 out of 10 of them, they took it from somebody else, some other artist somewhere else on the web. And that's just crushing. My mom's a graphic artist, and I have a lot of my car does need an extended warranty. I've been waiting for somebody to tell me, but that just crushes me, because these artists don't need their art literally stolen. And I mean, it's not, they still have it, of course, that's not stolen that way, but copyright infringement for sure. For somebody to take your art and pretend like it's theirs. And I thought maybe it would be 1 or 2, but 8 out of 10 of the artists have talked to me. it's really crushing.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely, especially, if they're coming to you in your DM, in your DMs, you're basically guaranteed scammer at this point for artists.
Yeah.
Which is, too bad, because there was a brief period of time where cold DMs worked really well for marketing before AI bots and scammers like this just saturated the space, so
It's terrible.
makes us all a little less trusting, which is too bad.
Yeah, and Facebook, it seems almost worse. And I don't know if you guys saw the VO3, Google's new video generative AI thing, came out with the I/O thing yesterday, the day before. Wow, there's one on Reddit of a video from a fake car show with people talking into the camera about the cars that they like at the car show. Looks 100% real, and sounds 100% real, and it's video. So, video or it doesn't happen, is no longer a thing as of 2 days ago.
Yeah,
they've pretty much cracked it.
Yeah. The only thing I could catch was this old fellow with a biker jacket on, and it said Hell's Angels patching with 1 L. That was the only clue I saw when I first watched through it.
And mouth noises are off a little bit, I noticed.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but other than that, it's almost, I mean, I could tell a few of them were a little bit odd in their framing and their lighting. Yeah. But it was very, very subtle.
And I think that if your antenna wasn't up right away, I mean, it probably would have skated by me easily. Oh yeah. If I wasn't suspicious off the bat.
One of them I didn't know was AI until I saw the title. It was like one of those interviewing someone on the street kind of videos. You're scrolling by. I didn't even have the audio on because I was scrolling by. Like, oh, people interviewing, but oh no, it's like this is an AI Google video.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Sorry about that. I just had to kick out one of my cats.
Man, those cats. They think they own the place.
I mean, it would be great if she just hopped up and hung out with us, but otherwise. So if you were hearing some noise, I tried to get her to quiet down.
I wanted to, what game did you work on?
I worked for Sony Online, and I worked in the platform department, which is supportive of the games. For 11 of those years. 1 year I did work as a game designer on a game called EverQuest Next, which was like a mix of Minecraft and EverQuest. EverQuest is kind of the grandfather to World of Warcraft, if you.
Okay.
So it's a 3D MMO, and we came up with Star Wars Galaxies and PlanetSide and several other massive multiplayer games. But I worked on the platform, which was mostly the websites, the forums, the launcher, the patcher, the friends technology, like the friends list stuff. It actually took me years to get the company to consolidate their friends list. You and I could be friends in one game, but we weren't friends in the other game. I mean, that's just a missed opportunity. Especially people burn out on these online games every once in a while. And at one point we had 7 massive multiplayer games. So if you were to burn out on one, you can easily hop to the other. And your friends list should be portable to allow you to continue to talk to them wherever you are, and Steam came out and just solved this so elegantly. but before that happened, I was banging my head against the wall trying to get people to understand, let people take their social network with them as they traverse, universes. And it was always deprioritized until it wasn't finally, one day it wasn't. So I was very happy.
Are there any games today that are doing massive multiplayer well?
Only World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's
well. You mentioned you've played and enjoyed ESO before, right? I think you.
Yes, yeah. But ESO is still popular enough. I'm not by the numbers. It's Final Fantasy. Actually, I'll take that back. Final Fantasy is competitive with WoW.
Okay.
And ESO would probably be number 3, if I remember the numbers right. And like one that's near and dear to my heart is EVE Online, the spaceship one. I love that one so much. Such a great game. But I think that I wish there were more. I really do. I love the genre, and I wish it would come back more. And
does the Old Republic even make it on into this discussion, or no?
It's there too. I think numbers wise, it's probably above EVE but below ESO.
Okay.
And I love that game too. It was fantastic. I have a a guild that has traversed through all of these games, all the way from before Ultima Online, that I'm with, and I actually tapped them for my beta readers. 6 of them
Nice.
volunteered to, voluntold by our guild leader.
That's
I
fun.
I
That's a
think they
really good.
volunteered,
Wow.
and
That's
and
actually a
3
really
of
good
them
question.
actually gave feedback. So it was half the 3 out of 6. So that was good. But
Wow.
and these
Yeah.
are people I've known for 15 years. So that was cool.
That's
But
really cool. I mean, that's genuinely a creative spot to grab beta readers, because those would
yeah,
be people genuinely interested in this kind of story, not just your average author, group that, for example, online, where we met. That's where a
right.
lot of authors go to for beta readers to get it from someone an MMO. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very good too. And 2 of the people who gave feedback are guys, and one was a lady. And I really want to make sure I got the whole sisterhood arc correct. And according to her, I did, so that's good.
Okay.
So that was really great. And it's one of those things that, as a debut author, you have this. I always felt like I could write well. Like when I would do my employees' reviews. I've been a manager for quite a while, and I'd write a review, and it always like take so much energy out of me
Mm.
to write well, because I didn't want to just do slapdash. I didn't. Some people are fine with putting down something and then saving it in the edit. I don't work that way. I have to get it down close to as good as I can the first go. And man, I would get done with review. I hate review time because of all the writing I have to do. But sometimes my employees would come back to me like the next day and go, this is really well written. You should really write something. but but now that I have the hearing back from the beta readers that they liked it unanimously, loved it. It was just such a relief, man. What if I sucked?
Mm.
That would be so bad.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, well, it's tough too, because when you do work in such a different field, some of the skills are obviously transferable, and I'd actually love to to pick your brain about that, about other aspects of your UX work that have transferred over into being an author at large. But just on the writing side, if you're in a business setting, or a corporate setting, or an academic setting, they're very different kinds of writing, so it can be intimidating
Yeah.
to step into the fiction space.
Yeah, and I think where that overlaps is in the user experience area. My number one mandate is clarity. And in your previous interview with EL, that's I think at the end he said his number one task as a writer is to be clear, and number 2 is to tell a good story, and number 3 is to be entertaining. And I was like, man, he got that exactly right. That's the discipline of user experience. Is it's got to be clear before anything else.
Mhm.
And then it's got to tell the story, and then it's got to be fun third. So he could be a UX guy. He nailed it straight up.
Fair.
So that's clarity, in the representation of all the technologies I talk about in the book, and in the culture differences too. Trying to portray Japan in a glorious way. Clarity was the most important thing, and that's where I think it overlaps, like you're saying, Tim.
Fair. Well, let's go a little broader then. Just UX and how that your work experience and how that has translated into, I mean, obviously at this point you're still just building up before actually putting the book out. So talk about how that has transferred over. Even just building an online presence and brand,
Yeah.
if that's the right word. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. Like we were chatting a little bit before we started up. Let me just pull up my little list of things I want to talk about. I've signed up for all these newsletters from all these authors with my Faith Faraday @gmail email address. Now everybody's got it. That's okay though. and I get dozens of them a day now. And some advice I might give from the UX perspective is put your book title in the subject line. Make that the first words. Book title, hyphen, and then whatever you want to say. Because a lot of people don't open their email. Obviously, open rates are terrible on marketing emails, but they at least see the subject line. So if over the next month they see a couple emails from you and they don't open anybody's email, they're at least seeing the name of your book a couple times in their inbox without having to open a thing. So lead with your book title is my advice on email marketing, so that you can at least get some repetition going in there and people are start to recognize the name over and over again. It falls back to like TV commercials, right? You ever see where they play the same commercial 3 times in a row? You're like, that's dumb. Why are you doing that? Well, actually, no, repetition does work.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be doing a newsletter, I guess, through Substack then?
That's a great question.
Or a separate one, yeah.
Probably not. I do like Substack, but I do disagree with the flood of dialogue boxes they greet you with every time you want to read an article. And they say that it works, and maybe it does, but I just find it really annoying. So I'm probably going to have my I haven't started it up yet. I'm working on my website right now. I want to have a there's so many ELs, man. That's
but good letters.
They are. I want to have a newsletter sign up on my website that's not a instantly you load the website dialog box in your face. I think those are ineffective because you haven't decided if you like the site or not yet.
Yeah.
Before
it's
they're
extra friction, right? You know.
Yeah, and it's like, let me at least look at your content before I just sign up for your newsletter. So what I'm thinking to do, and I haven't found a solution to this yet. I'm using WordPress, but I'm thinking a dialog box that sits in the bottom right corner and follows you down the page. So you can scroll through and look at the content, read it, and then if you want to sign up, you fill it out with your email and your name, and then you hit go, and then it never comes back, right? Because it should set a cookie and then never return.
Yeah. No, that's
another thing I noticed is almost every author website uses a top menu navigation. Only a couple I've seen use left-hand side. So I would also recommend sticking with that formula because it's what people expect from book sites is the top row navigation. And, you know,
you're saying avoid the left side. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Just because that's what people are expecting to see. Yeah. Maybe if you have a really good reason to do left side, go for it. Break the rules. Well, Picasso says, learn the artist rules so you know when to break them. So, break the rule if you have a good reason. But I also see it's hard sometimes to even find somebody's book link. I mean, like yours, Tim, is really easy to find. Yours is Isaac as well, and you have the whole website to go with it. But on Twitter, somebody says often, "I'm not selling any books," and then you go to their profile and their bio, and it has no links to anything. And like, how are you supposed to find it? And then maybe they have a website link, and you go to the website, and there's no book link to immediately click on whatever the book is they want you to start with, right? You have to go hunting. Let's try not to let people have to hunt for all this stuff. But
make it easy to buy the book.
Yeah, I think that's that's sage advice.
It's worth experimenting because sometimes, I used to have my website link, and now I've put a placeholder for the website, and I'm updating it. But so I used to have the website, no sales, saw no difference in sales. Switched to my author page on Amazon, saw an uptick in sales. Switched to the actual just book link, massive uptick in sales. That's because when people go to my profile, the first thing they see, minimal friction, they're on the sales page for the book.
Yeah, I think that's a wise choice. There's a rule of thumb in user experience that you lose half your audience for every click you make them go through. It's not half, it's some other number, and it's highly dependent upon the context, of course, but that's still a close enough thing. And so a direct link to buy your book is probably the first thing you should show people. And then in support of that, you have a website, and I'm thinking of building a community on my website with a forum and maybe even discussion threads per character. Like if you want to talk about this character, go to this thread. This technology, go to that thread.
Would you ever use Discord for that, or you would want it probably all based in the sphere of your website?
I think that I've debated that question a lot, and
if Discord gave you a buy button,
that's true. There you go. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that I want to go with my own hosted one because I own the email addresses then.
Fair.
And if Discord goes belly up tomorrow, that's not good. And also, I have to admit, I think there's a generational divide for Discord users. I think that it's a little Byzantine for some of the older folks. I'm in the Fellowship of the Indie Authors Discord group, and I noticed a couple of indie authors on Twitter were like, I don't want to go there because I don't know what's going on.
No.
I don't know how to find anything. I don't know how to keep track of anything. And so they just punt. They're like, I'm not going to be part of this because of Discord as a vehicle. So
if not for, it's 2025. So I guess 4 years ago when I went back to school briefly for my writing program, if not for that, I think that was the first time I actually actively used Discord because everyone in the program was using it. And if not for that, yeah, I would have been in that. I would have been kind of just over the line of I have no interest in this next thing replacing Slack, which replaced this, which replaced this, which replaced MSN Messenger, going all the way. Like just note that, it's just always the new thing. But in the author community now, I'm kind of glad I did use Discord for school because now so many of these communities, including FOSHA, Fellowship of the Indie Author, like so many, SFF insiders as well. Their Discord is really good. Like there's a lot of really good ones, but oh my gosh, sometimes keeping track of it all. You're right. It is a younger game for sure.
I like the tool, and my son uses it all the time. So if I want to talk to him, I use Discord. But I love the Fellowship of the Indie Author, and I'm in there right now, and I'm trying hard to write a short story for the anthology. And it's targeted between 3,000 and 5,000 words. And what I'm doing is I thought up a really cool story chunk that I'm pulling out of book 3 of Faith Faraday and writing just this piece for the anthology, but it's going to be too big. It's going to be like 7,000 words. And I'm like, oh man. But what I feel like I'm toast in some fashion because I'm super excited about the story. It's Faith Faraday 2 books ahead of what I've already written. So the Faith Faraday and the Cyber Samurai is finished, went through the developmental edit, went through the cultural sensitivity reader, went through the beta readers, is with a copy editor right now. I even got a book club in Tokyo to pick it up back in November, but they won't email me about it. I'm like, how'd you like it? They're like, oh, we're busy. We can't. I'm like, it was November. Come on, please. But it's not even the same book anymore. But
how long did you say it is?
It's 80,000 words.
Okay. So I mean, that's a shorter novel. Yeah. That's definitely. I mean, it's not that short, but it's
for definitely sci-fi. I think it's right in the center.
Yeah. So my point is, though, from November. That's They're
no, they read it in a month. They read it in the month of November, and they sat around some table in Tokyo and they talked about it, and they won't tell me. So I don't know. I'm not even sure if it matters anymore because it's a very different book now. But so I'm sort of quote unquote done. I mean, who knows how much work my copy editor is coming back to me with. But I'm going to be writing the short story for the anthology, which I'm going to be able to reuse for book 3. And then I'm going back and writing a reader magnet prequel when Hope is alive and Faith's twin sister, and sort of a little bit of that day in the life, setting the tone of what it's like for twin sisters who are half Danish in Tokyo to live their lives. One's an astronaut, one's an AI engineer. Faith in addition to being a Damon hunter, she is a programmer who programs AI, so she knows what to look for, right? They say I met an FBI agent once on an airplane, and he told me that most good FBI investigators are accountants because it's follow the money. Right. And the ones who aren't are lawyers. And I was like, so I figured if she was going after these rogue AI daemons, she should probably be an engineer herself. But anyway, it's back to when Hope is alive. Hope and Faith are hanging out, and in the first book, Faith has a sort of a utility robot companion called Chip, who she liberates from a Chipotle tortilla chip factory, and he's a chip sorter. He's like, when the conveyor belt's coming at you and you got these thousands of chips, he's the one who picks out the bad ones, right? And she recognizes some spark of intelligence in him, and she just like yanks him out of there and makes him her little sidekicks type of deal. You can kind of think like if R2D2 and Bender from Futurama had a baby robot,
Okay.
it would be Chip. That sort of cutesy, cuddly R2 companion, and the cigar smoking, belching Bender. But those two together. So I got to give him an origin story, and so anyway, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this prequel. It's called Faith Faraday and the Lost Hope, because her sister's name is Hope, and she dies. Spoiler, but so it's the Lost Hope.
Would you so I mean, you said it's going to be your reader magnet, so novella length, kind of what you're aiming for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Very fun.
I think it'll be a blast. And it's when after Hope is gone, there is a moment when Faith and her dad are having a disagreement about an AI that her dad is engineering. His name is Samu. He's the eponymous cyber samurai. So his name is Samu, and he's a restorative artificial intelligence, so RAI. So Samurai is how I put his name together. And I have a few of those acronym type of constructions in the book. They're a lot of fun.
It's the genre too. I like it.
I think thank you. I think it's fun. And she's having a discussion with her dad as they're, sort of raising this Samu AI character in their home, essentially. And dad says that he's going to teach Samu how to be deceptive, to be able to navigate mankind and, not be taken advantage of. He's got to be able to, guard his secrets and make his way in the world. And Faith is like, that's not right. How about we just give him a super strong sense of empathy instead? Give him empathy instead of deception. And he's like, that's really nice, sweetheart, but this is the grown-ups world, and here we have to be able to guard ourselves from the bad guys. And Faith is not having this at all. She does not like this idea at all. So she pretty much hacks her dad, and at night goes and forks the code on Samu, makes her own copy. Forking is when you duplicate a code branch, right? Yeah. And she calls hers Grace, and she teaches Grace empathy instead of deception. And Grace kind of lives in her ear, the guy in the chair type of thing from Spider-Man. Or I'm actually inspired more by Jane from the Ender's Game sequel, Speaker for the Dead.
Yes.
Okay.
Ender has Jane in his ear. It's just, I love it. And
I was just picturing Jarvis or Friday from Iron Man. So
that's very much like
Jane was
that.
like the original version of that, wasn't she? When was that written?
It was a while ago, man, and it was the first one I ever read where you had a audio implant of an AI in your head. It was just, I just loved it. And there's a moment when Ender is talking to somebody and Jane is talking in his ear, and he's like, he switches her off, and she goes through this existential crisis in the half a second it takes him to put his hand on his lap. And she's like, why do I exist anymore if I can't talk to Ender? And she loses her mind in the half second. And it's the time scale difference between an interstellar AI that Jane is. I'm obviously a fanboy of Jane. But she has Grace like this in her ear when she goes to infiltrate the Hollow. Yeah. The first Decepticon is very deceptive. Chip has an infatuation with Megatron. He absolutely loves Megatron. In the second book, I'm gonna have Faith walk into the living room, and she's gonna say to Chip, "Why do you have a popcorn popper strapped to your arm?" And he's like, "It's an ion cannon." And because Megatron has the big old black ion cannon. Anyway, yeah. I guess you had to be there. So Grace is in her ear while she's infiltrating, and when she's there to try to capture Samu from the Hollow, because she thinks Samu is, which was birthed in her home, right? Her dad made it. She thinks Samu is responsible for the spaceship exploding, or maybe knows who is. And so she's there to find him and get him out. And she finds that he is ensconced in a, she knows there's an air gap machine that Samu's in, so she can't get to him through the internet. And it turns out the air gap machine is actually a cyber geisha in a Faraday cage to keep her isolated from any signals, and to keep Samu safe. And to get her out, she's like, I have to get this whole geisha out of this tower now. And so she's Grace, who's been in her ears, always wanted her own body. She always wanted to be an embodied AI, but it's not legal in this future Japan to have a super AI in a body. You can't do it. It's too dangerous. But to get this geisha out, how do you get the geisha out? So she infects the geisha with Grace. She transfers her in, and Grace takes over, possesses the geisha, and they make their way out of the building together down the elevator shaft. That's another chapter. But I had so much fun writing this book, and then, you know, years later, some of these chapters, editing the book, going back and reading my own writing after if you haven't touched it for like 9 months, you kind of forget what you wrote, right? At least the nuts and bolts of it. And I was maybe it's not good that you laugh at your own jokes or you have such a great time reading your own book, but it's got to be a good sign, right? I had a wonderful time editing it. So, but it's a big adventure. The technology is approachable. I went to massive lengths to make it understandable to anybody who can operate an iPhone. If you can operate an iPhone, you'll get it. And that's turned out to be true. And it's also a tour of Japan. You know, there's the tea ceremony with that cyber geisha. There's the Yabusame horseback archery I was telling you about. There's art of flower arrangement. There's sumo wrestling. There's even some scuba. I'm a certified scuba diver, and I got to, you know, write what you know. At least, if you write what you know, you can sound very authentic. So that was helpful to use my memory of my certification in scuba diving to write those scenes. And it's a real fun adventure book. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty
cool.
great.
Yeah.
Now we're
go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say we're about at the hour mark, so I think it's probably a really great time. Speaking of the book, to maybe a little reveal that maybe
This is a fun thing I took from my time at Sony was I got to reveal a few of our video games through puzzles, and in one it's a long story. I won't get into it, but I used an image of a broken tablet that I split up into 7 pieces and sent out to 200,000 people, and they got to get together and put it together, right, as a tablet and figure out the next step in the puzzle, right? So I thought it might be fun to do a partial book cover reveal. So this is 1/4 of the Faith Faraday and the Cyber Samurai book cover, and my invitation to other folks who may want to have me on, you know, the TikToks or the YouTube interviews is maybe you can help me debut parts 2, 3, and 4. But here, you know, on All Caps, we're going to do the very first piece of the Faith Faraday cover reveal.
Let's do it.
Drum roll, please.
Boom.
There you go.
There she is. We get her hair and her body.
There you go.
Everybody else gets everything else.
Yes.
Oh, wait, this isn't the full cover?
No, it's not the.
I think you have everything you need to sell the book right there.
It's called Book 1. It's not book. No, I'm just kidding.
That's great. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
This
Who's the artist?
is Faith. This is Faith Faraday. I put together the book cover. I'm a longtime user of Photoshop, so I'm a graphic designer.
Okay, cool.
For the last 20 years, but the actual art is from Midjourney, and it's about 14 layers. The background pieces of Faith, like her belt, is a different piece than her arm, then her hair, then her face is another piece. There's about 14 layers in my Photoshop document, and I put it all together myself.
Nice.
That's like the Photoshop side of that is fun because I mean, I use Illustrator and Photoshop for my graphics usually. If I'm bouncing between them just for for building a consistent visual brand, so to speak. Those are good skills to have. So it's a huge advantage coming into this author game with those kind of skills from day one.
I like Photoshop a lot. If I were to recommend anything to anybody, I would say go with Affinity Photo 2 and Affinity Designer, because they're very powerful. They don't have everything Photoshop does, but Photoshop's been around like 25 years. Has a lot of bloat. And the Affinity suite is a buy once, never pay again suite.
It's cool.
That's refreshing.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend that. I mean, I get my Adobe license through work, so I don't mind. But if I didn't do that, I would definitely buy Affinity. And last summer they had like a half off sale.
Oh yeah, they're always on sale. Both my covers, Affinity.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, her belt buckle is a different piece of art from the pouches, and the pouches are inspired by Batman: The Dark Knight, Frank Miller cover.
Right.
Where,
yeah.
Not the cover, actually. One of the internal pages where Bats is with Robin, and
the cover, he's silhouette, right? He's like in the lightning.
Yeah, and but in some of the subsequent pages, he has a little yellow square pouches, and they're flapping around. So Faith Faraday is like she's a little bit Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Batman and Blade Runner for the AI detective side of things. She is very definitely an AI detective. She's the one who tries to figure out if something is an AI or is not.
Very cool. And it's also thematic, using AI tools to build the AI book.
Yeah. And if you could bring up the logo again, the
full logo here, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you can get rid of us or something
with the button.
Let me let's turn that down a little. And
there you go.
Here. Bingo. There we go.
You might notice there's there's an AI in there as well. And it was funny too, because it's
good. Yeah.
I had it subtle in the beginning and nobody got it. And so it's one of those things where like I could leave the AI difference in the font treatment subtle and allow people to find it as an Easter egg after the fact, right? And I thought, oh, that'd be kind of fun, because I've experienced some books like that, like Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, one of my most favorite books, had a massive alternate reality game that was sparked off of a puzzle that starts on the dust jacket. And this is like disappeared off the internet. The fact that this existed, I've tried to find it. I find bare mentions of it. But after I finished Angels and Demons, I spent the next 3 hours. I finished it at like 11 at night, and I was up until 2 solving this web puzzle, going from place to place and enjoying it. So I thought it might be kind of cool if after somebody's bought the book, they're like, oh, I'm going to look at the cover again. And oh, somebody said there's AI on the cover. And then I thought, well, maybe instead of that, I'll use it as a selling point. Make it very, very obvious that it's a book about AI. And a lot of my UX friends got to weigh in on that. So I decided to go very bold and very obvious. And one of my readers says, could you make it more obvious? I'm like, I don't know if I can.
This is a nice balance. I mean,
as long as you have a little Sharpie blue arrow pointing right there.
A red circle. That's what I need. A red circle, right?
Like, I love books that have good Easter eggs in them that aren't that obvious. So as long as you still sneak those into the actual book. But yeah, this works. This, it's not too distracting on the one extreme, and it's not too subtle on the other.
That's a great angle, Tim, in that when your focus is on clarity, any kind of subtext is more intentional, in my opinion. I think sometimes when somebody doesn't get something in a book, sometimes people will say, oh, you just don't understand the subtext or the subtleties or something. There are big secrets hidden in this book. But they are very, very intentionally hidden with enough clues that you could get it. I tell you, again, back to Dan Brown. I love some of his books. I can't stand other ones. But anyway, I think it's in Angels and Demons when you're following Langdon around and he's trying to find the answer to a riddle, and it has to do with somebody who's been knighted. and in history, a historical figure who's been knighted, and he gives you just enough clues in the 5 or 6 pages before he reveals who it is that you could figure it out yourself, and you just like pat yourself on the, I figured it out. You feel so good about yourself. And then after, I was like, man, I'm so smart. And I went back and I was like, wait a second. And I went back and I paged through the last 2 chapters I just read, and I saw where he had given me the blatant hints that that kicked off my own little inspiration. It reminds me of Sixth Sense. And if you haven't watched the movie, it's too late. But if you don't know,
are allowed on here, absolutely.
If you don't know, yes, I am talking about Inferno. Oh my God, I'm so sorry if you read Inferno, the chat.
Yeah.
Well, the reveal of this this thing was so beautifully placed in the book. It reminded me of Sixth Sense, in that if you can figure out that Bruce Willis is a ghost before it's officially revealed, when his wife drops the wedding ring and it rolls under the couch is the moment I'll never forget, the moment when I figured it out. And I was a little later than most people apparently, but I just felt so good that I could figure it out before it was officially revealed. Yes, I agree.
Definitely a good feeling. Yeah. Anyways, well, do you want us to let's take one last look at the cover here. Yeah, anyways, fun. So anyone watching, if you're running a channel,
the only way to get the rest of the covers is for people to invite Nathan onto their shows. So
yeah,
that's got to happen now.
Yeah. Otherwise, it just won't come out. I'll just put it on a shelf. It's actually, the book is on a shelf next to me. I could actually show you the cover, but I'm not gonna. I'm so tempted, but no, that would spoil the fun.
Yeah, don't show us after.
You can show us after.
Yeah. I actually said it. You've seen it, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's my point. I've seen it, so yeah. Sure. I want to see the physical thing.
Awesome.
It was fun. I am getting a author proof, and you guys are familiar with this. I'm sorry for all the newbie debut author gushing over the process, but getting that proof copy, holy shit, man! And
that feeling never goes away. It's
good.
Oh yeah.
And I did an unboxing. And this is an unlisted video on YouTube on my channel, which has one video on it. Don't worry about trying to find it. But I used my Wakizashi sword to unbox my book.
Yes.
And I had so much fun with it. It was so great. And just picking it up and turning it over. I was a bit surprised, how good a quality these one-off Amazon printed books are. I've never had one before that was a proof copy before. So it was
Katie, so through KDP, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Their proof copies, I love them. I've never been disappointed so far. So
I don't like the color black they use for their ink. It's a little bit gray.
It's not black enough. It's true.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It's true. I have illustrations all throughout my books, and I use heavy black ink, especially for Garden Maze. And it's whenever you print it out with Amazon, it's a little bit gray.
That's interesting. Yeah. I use chapter ornaments or chapter graphics, I guess. I think the official term is chapter ornaments, but that's really hard to Google. You end up with lots of Christmas stuff if you Google that. But I have graphics at the head of every one of my chapters. And I also, I guess I could say it, that at the bottom of every chapter, I have a web address. And my intention, and I haven't set it up yet, is to have a forum thread per chapter that you can go directly to. And I happen to own ff7.com, which I bought a long time ago when the first Final Fantasy VII game came out. And I've had ever since.
That's my immediate thought. So yeah, whenever I see your URL,
what's funny is I was obviously a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I got FF7 and I had it for years. People have offered me some money for it, and a lot now. Apparently there's like 3 people in China who really want the domain name. But originally the title of the book was Faith Faraday, Third Circuit Daemon Hunter, as if police precincts are First Circuit or judgeships, like these districts in law enforcement. And I had that name, Third Circuit Daemon Hunter, for a while, and then I realized that spells FF3, Faith Faraday, Third Circuit. If I just change that to 7th, I happen to have a domain name that would fit. so the idea is Faith Faraday 7th Circuit Demon Hunter, and I felt really stupid that it took me months to put that 2 and 2 together, that I had a legit domain name that would actually fit my thing. So at the bottom of each chapter, it says ff7.com/0101. And it doesn't work now, but you will be able to go there and chat with other readers about that chapter, and then 02, 03, 04. So I'll be able to get, and this is very much user experience, incremental feedback. I will be able to get reader feedback on a chapter by chapter basis using that scheme. Fun. So that's cool. That theme. I think it's gonna be fun. Yeah. So I haven't told anybody that. You gotta ask the first time. I haven't told only my wife knows that.
We're getting all the surprises tonight. It's great.
Yeah. That's I just love talking to you guys.
That is very unique. And it fits the theme and setting of your book perfectly.
Thank you.
That's going to be very, very fun.
I think Hugh Howey did something similar with Wool in the early stages when he was selling, maybe I have this wrong, but I think his first chapter of Wool he released to his community for 99 cents or something, and he had forums set up to talk about it. And then he just started writing the rest of Wool, which is a phenomenal book. And the show actually keeps really tight to the book. But after he wrote it, I guess, he took all those out and put it in a full-fledged book and sold it, but there's no more URLs in the book. But my plan is to keep those URLs up there perpetually, and I might have to moderate them a little bit, but But
community moderation can be a treat from experience.
Yeah. It'll be okay. It's worth the headaches.
Yeah.
I remember buying Wool for 99 cents.
Maybe you were one of the ones, man.
But then, I really liked it, and then I forgot about it, and then I saw it at the library. I was like, "Whoa, here's Wool!" I pulled it off, and I was like, "I don't remember Wool being this big." And I didn't read it because I didn't know where I left off. I didn't want to read it again. I've already read it. So I was really lazy. I didn't finish Wool. So but I want to watch the show for sure. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list.
It keeps tight to the book. It really does. I was impressed. The one that doesn't is another Hugh Howey, a Beacon 23, is about a guy is in a space lighthouse. He's a war hero, and he did something very heroic, and the general says, "We'll give you any station you want." And he's like, "I don't want to be left the fuck alone. Put me in this space lighthouse." And they do. And it's very, very episodic, very much like what I described with the first chapter of Wool. It's been pulled into a full book. And then somebody bought the rights to it to make a show, and it's nothing like the book at all. And if you and Hugh Howey himself was, if you can see a thread on Twitter where he finds out that they're making the show by seeing an ad for the show.
Oh, wow.
He'd sold the rights, and nobody had told him they'd made the thing. And he's like, "What's this?" And then one of the reps replies to him on Twitter and says, "Oh yeah, we made a show from your IP." And he's like, "Oh, gee, thanks." But he's just too nice to. I mean, he didn't get to watch it, but it really, really detracts from the book massively.
Maybe that's why they didn't tell him. Wow.
Maybe it's a shame, but it's one of those things that he was indie, and it's one of those patterns. I was about to say formula, but it's a pattern of you discover some great book by some author, and then you go and you read his entire backlog, right? And he has an amazing backlog. I've read everything he's written up until the last 5 years. I haven't read. I've been on a Pierce Brown kick, Red Rising kick lately. But man, he is so gifted. That dude, Hugh Howey's one of my favorites.
That's awesome. Well, on the subject of shows and TV, which we do like to talk about a lot, we have a bit of a game prepped, and I think you're gonna like this one. I think
awesome.
I think we're about to have a lot of fun. So yeah, if you're game for it,
man.
Time, Isaac.
Oh yes. So we're gonna engage your critical mind.
All right.
We need you to be as critical as possible because we're gonna sniff out the stinker.
Oh.
So we're gonna put up 3 films. You got to tell me which one's the worst.
Oh,
out of
okay.
this out of the batch.
All right.
Usually we like to stay
Hope I've,
positive,
hope
This
I've
time
seen them all.
we don't want to we want to be as negative as possible because I'm sick and tired of being nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, bring it. Let's do it.
this.
So our first batch, we have Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Alien 3, and Aragon. Which one is the worst film out of all of them? I know there is a right answer to this.
Wow. No, I don't want to say. I don't want to say Aragon. I don't want to say. Was that not the right
It's
answer?
not
No,
Aragon.
It's,
It's
you
not
think it's
Aragon.
you don't like
No,
Alien?
it's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Oh my God. You don't like the Home Alone?
Talk about a bigger downgrade.
Oh, in contrast to the Home Alone. I see.
I mean, it has all the actors came back kind of.
Well,
The kid's doing his
fan.
best.
I'm a huge fan of New York, and that building right there, the Empire State Building, is where I proposed to my wife. So I'm very, very partial to that image in particular.
Well, I think you're going to win this one, Isaac.
Just to be clear, that's not the real Empire State Building. I think that is a prop. They've put the two men behind. But I think it's representing the Empire State Building.
Yes, it is representing. No, I actually have not seen Aragon, but I've seen Alien 3. I don't remember it that well. That's the prison
there
one,
was
right?
a lot of lice.
It's the prison one, isn't it?
Yeah, the prison one
with a shaved head and everything. Yeah, that was a letdown from Alien.
They shave the head. They kill the characters you liked, and then they're like, okay, it's time to be miserable. And they like the behind the scenes stuff was crazy. They didn't let the guy make the movie, and he left like before it was even finished. And
I could see that. Alien and Aliens was such a mindfuck. Just the idea of Alien being so terrifying, and all they did is add an S, and you're like, oh shit, there's more than one. So I mean, that was just a masterstroke in naming. Naming things, especially stories, is near and dear to my heart. But I don't think I've seen Aragon, so I can't really judge that one. And I have to give my favorite building in the world favorite status there. So I'm sorry about that.
So you're picking Home Alone 2 is the worst out of the batch.
No. I the one I haven't seen, Aragon. I can't.
Okay, Aragon's okay. Say. All right, fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. It has that. It's weird. It's very strange. It's a very odd movie.
I liked Aragon the first time.
I wish they made another one actually, because I think they could have saved it. Yeah. Because I liked the cast. I did like the cast.
That was to me what I liked about it. The cast. A few things they did so poorly that even as an Aragon book lover, I watched and I thought, but we'll see what happens next. And then they never delivered. And because of that, even though I kind of enjoyed it the first time around, every single time I've watched it ever since, I can't enjoy it.
I think I know that the single worst mistake they made. In the book, does Saphira age up quickly or does she slowly grow? I think she slowly grows in the book, correct?
And in the movie, she goes, you're right. Yeah. No, there's no big. She doesn't fly in the sky and transform.
And then there's the awkward introduction of the mines, and that's strange. And if they had just made the dragon stay small until the very end, have her rapidly grow, that would have been, I think, a better movie.
I'm definitely have to watch that then. This sounds.
It's not very good.
No. Well, it sounds.
I'm a fan, but no, it's not. Like I can't in good faith recommend it to people.
You obviously watching your tweets, Tim. You like Wheel of Time adaptation a lot better than this, I assume, right?
Oh, that's actually. If I had to pick between these two, it might be.
Which one had the most cringiest moments? Made you go. Oh.
Probably Aragon, and that's saying something because Wheel of Time has some serious cringe in it. They're neither they're both not perfect. That's actually really tough.
Well, Aragon, another thing I really like about it, I liked the bug people, whatever they were called. The scary crow bug people. They were cool.
Oh yeah, the Razak. They were done amazing.
Yes. I thought they were cool in the movie. There's a lot of good things in that movie.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it has enough redeeming, and the thing, Wheel of Time had some redeeming qualities for me too. Anyways, we're fixating on this, but the point is,
that's okay. I was working in a bookstore in high school when the third Wheel of Time book came out. That shows you, age myself a little bit, but it was wild because I was so into it. I got to stock the shelves with the third book. I was like, man, this is so good. And I figured it was a trilogy. I figured it was like Lord of the Rings, And then I'm, Perrin is my absolute favorite character still. And there's echoes of Perrin and Jon Snow, who was my favorite Song of Ice and Fire.
Yep.
And hey, EL, 2 ELs. There can be only one. This is a Highlander moment. But I was on my way to work. I was listening to the radio, and Robert Jordan was having an interview on public radio. And the interviewer was like, so this is a trilogy, right? And he goes, oh, God, no. Oh, no. He says, oh, I could totally stretch this out to, I don't know, man, 7, 8 books. And we all know the history, of course. But when I heard that, I just felt crestfallen. And it harkens back to some of the better writing advice I've heard in the last couple of years. And that's, you should at least appear to have a plan. And the fact that Robert Jordan was saying on radio that he didn't have a plan and he was just going to milk it really made me lose that suspension of disbelief. There's this fiction you have in your head that these characters exist in a world somewhere and he's just telling you about them. Not that he's just going to make 10 more books to I don't know, make a living. And it really, I did read 4 and 5. But Perrin took a big back seat, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to read 6. So I stopped there. But I think 5 books of the series is pretty respectable. He did. I mean, obviously I'm a big Wheel of Time fan to that extent. So anyway, but I have been enjoying the show, and the Aes Sedai and Lan is such a badass.
Yeah.
And I just love him.
So you haven't finished the show yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious. As I mean, so far it doesn't pass where you stopped off in the books. So
I should hope not. I was kind of thinking they were going to do a season per book, right? And I got to 5. So are they doing a season per book?
They kind of jumbled some things up for 3 and 4. So mostly season 3 is book 4, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I think you'll be very happy with some things and probably a little disappointed with others.
But isn't there like 5 books where like nothing happens?
I think that they call that the
that could be like a couple episodes in one of the seasons, maybe.
Yeah, I mean 7, 8, 9, I think is usually considered the slog, somewhere around there. So yeah, like I love all the books, but there is a part where it definitely could have been shorter, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they cram a bunch in to a single, and I'd be okay with that. Really, I don't want to see this go on for 14 seasons. Not okay.
You don't want to pull a Game of Thrones. Well, at least they have the whole thing is written. So that's good.
Yes.
No chance of that problem happening.
Thank you, Brandon Sanderson, for finishing that. So I appreciate that.
All right, should we go to the next 3?
Yes.
Next slide, please.
Hopefully I've seen them all.
Now we're gonna up the stakes now. No. So we have Milo and Otis, Space Jam, and Hancock. Which one of these is the worst film?
Well, I have to admit, I haven't seen the first 2, but I disliked Hancock so much, I'm going to say Hancock.
Good choice. Because Hancock is just a really boring superhero movie.
It was just disappointing.
The ending thing is he paints a heart on the moon, and that's kind of fun, but
I mean, that's just vandalism. That's no.
It kind of fits his character for just screwing stuff up. But the other 2 have some redeeming qualities. Milo and Otis taught me what it was like to watch 2 different animals give birth live on screen. That was fun.
Really?
And
wow.
they killed the making of the movie is insane because to get these little puppies and kittens to do what they need, they had like a bag of just, all these cats that look the same. Okay, take this kitten. The scene with the bear has to run away from the bear. The bear gets one. Oh, let's try it again. Run it back. Another kitten. And this bear ate like 15 cats to get the shot they needed. It was really, really crazy.
Wow.
It was and then Space Jam 2 or Space Jam, whatever that is I think it was supposed to be like the next thing after spiritual successor to Roger Rabbit. and it just
That
isn't.
makes sense. The animation with live action at the same time.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
actually saw Hancock in the theater and did one of those sneaky little theater hopping things. Went and saw Batman. So I saw Hancock and Batman in the same day. I forget which Batman it was, but I was like, "Holy shit! This is like night and day superhero movies."
yeah,
Right?
compare the two.
Shitty Deadpool. That's clever.
It's fair. That's a fair description of it.
That is kind of what he's doing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Except he's not funny.
Well,
Shitty
they even
Deadpool
have
and
some
Shazam.
fun tongue-in-cheek moments in there, like the classic "Why didn't you fly up?" moment. I love that in Hancock.
Yeah,
You know, when he smashes the train instead of just taking the car out. Anyways, yeah, you know.
I love the Deadpool movies. I think my favorite scene in I think it's in Deadpool 2 when he's with his girlfriend and they're like, "Let's make babies." And he says, "I'll get the strap on." And she says, "I don't think that's how it works, but I'm willing to give it a try." And I'm like, I just love her enthusiasm, you know, and willingness to experiment. That's so great.
No, EL, you misunderstand me. I am not putting down Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm not. I'm saying Space Jam is a puddle compared to
It's a sequel, right? Is it supposed to be a sequel?
Well,
it was supposed to be the next thing. Like they wanted to do another Roger Rabbit, but instead of doing that, they did Space Jam.
You said Isaac, you've seen Space Jam, right?
No, I've never. I don't want to watch that movie.
Okay, fair. Like,
did Richard Williams animate in it? No.
All the hilarious memes. I always forget the actor's name, but you know the guy in the first Jurassic Park, who, you know, he's the meddler, the computer guy, the bigger guy, and at the end, you know, he's the one who tries to, you know, what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, Wayne Knight. Yeah.
He tries to sneak out the eggs and gets eaten at the end. Blah blah blah. You get it. He's in. I'm pretty sure that's him in Space Jam, and he's kind of the same sort of guy. It's hilarious. There are definitely redeeming qualities to Space Jam. That was a big movie when I was a kid. So don't knock it till you've tried it. That's what I will say. I do think.
Do they bump the lamp in Space Jam?
I can't remember.
In Roger Rabbit, they went the extra mile.
Those movements are becoming more and more telegraphed these days. Have you guys watched the trailer for the latest Jurassic Park? Rebirth.
I did.
And you can kind of tell when they're running along and they have the dinosaur in the backpack and the dinosaur is grabbing the edge of the backpack. There's something about that is like, you're doing that on purpose to show us that it's affecting the real physical world by bumping the lamp or, you know, moving the backpack. And something about it just makes it really obvious that it's they're trying to bridge that gap between the worlds.
I think it might have something to do with the fact it's the 9th. Isn't it the 9th Jurassic Park?
I dig it. One of my favorite video games is
the 9th one. Yes, I'm calling it Jurassic Park, the next one. I can't remember what it's called. Rebirth. It's Rebirth. I still want to go see it because I like dinosaurs.
I like to play the game Ark, the video game Ark, and
and
watch any one of the Jurassic Parks on my other screen while I fight T-Rexes on my main screen here.
It's fun. All right, shall we advance to the next one?
Sure. Unless you want to hear me talk more about Richard Williams.
No objection to that, but let's do it. All right, here we go.
Worst one here.
Oh.
We got Pitch Black, Bionicle Mask of Light, and Coneheads.
Coneheads is funny, at least the Saturday Night Live stuff. I don't think I've seen the movie, but the Pitch Black was amazing. And I have not seen
it was too dark.
I have not seen Bionicle, so I'm afraid again I'm SOL on this one, but I loved Pitch Black, so it has to be one of the other two.
Well, I mean, Pitch Black isn't that great. It has some cool monsters. Has cool monsters in it, but the monsters have a kind of a lame weakness. You get real close to them, they can't see you. That's what I remember from the movie. I saw it when I was like 11. My grandma showed it to me.
Yeah, I like his the fact that his superpower is also his weakness. I think that's a nice thing. I get tired of these superheroes. Like the latest Superman trailer looks really cool to me, but typically Superman is just a little boring for me because he only has the one weakness. You know, you can go after his family, you can go after Lois. Those are weaknesses for sure. But the whole kryptonite thing kind of feels like an afterthought. I much prefer the more vulnerable heroes like Batman, who actually doesn't have any superpowers. He just has a lot of skills and gumption. But when you're, I have an idea for I'm going to branch out into fantasy with my next series. And
Cool.
there is a strong parallel between these Japanese mythical female warriors and Norse Valkyrie. Oh, Riddick is just, EL is the peanut gallery here. Anyway, in this fantasy, had to turn the brightness up. In this fantasy, the hero, she can control minds, but with eye contact. So she wears a blindfold most of the time. So it's a little bit similar to Pitch Black. And when she goes to control your mind, she consumes a little bit of her soul. She spends a little bit of her soul essence to mind control you. But so it's a superpower and a weakness at the same time.
Gotcha.
I'm definitely not putting Bionicle on my to be watch list. Thank you, EO.
Yes, Bionicle is the correct answer. Yes, Riddick is a very good movie.
I was going to say, okay, I think it's time for the reveal, Isaac, before EL gets any angrier.
I had to put a good movie somewhere just to get some ire.
Well, the fun we've been doing this, I mean, Isaac has just been gaslighting everyone into thinking that the worst movie is, or the best movie is the worst. So
I'm doing my best, but yeah, Bionicle is a gem. If you have small children who care about Bionicles for some reason, they will very much enjoy it. I think I mean that movie has expired like milk.
I'm surprised. I was surprised at how great the Lego movies did.
Oh,
the Lego movies.
Legos are evergreen. Bionicles, nobody cares. 5 years beyond.
Before it came out, though, Lego the movie, people were panning it. They thought there's no way you can make a movie about little plastic bricks, but man, they did.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it was announced, I saw it was the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs directors. I was like, okay, it's going to be something good.
Yeah, well, Lego's always had this problem with IP. You know, they have these strong IPs with DC and Star Wars, and the video games they make with their IP anyway are just phenomenal. But there was that moment when they're like, we're going to make our own IP. It's called the Lego Movie, and there was a lot of people in entertainment that were like, no, you're not. But man, they did.
No. Well, I've heard. I haven't heard anyone make the mistake of saying it compares. But I've been surprised by how many people say they like the Minecraft movie. I was nervous to give it a chance. I haven't
seen it yet,
but I'm tempted now.
It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
It was very fun in the theater just because everyone was so into it. Everyone was clapping and cheering, and we didn't have a crazy theater with people throwing stuff or killing each other. We just had people clapping and cheering. And that was very, very fun.
Fair.
But the movie itself was just very bland, I thought, film. It worked. It wasn't bad, but also wasn't very good.
I'm a huge Minecraft fan. When we were working on that game, EverQuest Next, we got to go to the first American Minecon. And there was a Minecon in Europe, but the second one was in Vegas. And my whole dev team got to go. Sorry, not the design team got to go. And I got my Minecraft character got a red creeper cape, a Minecon cape. And I have been spearfished, nearly hacked for that cape.
Wow.
I have 2-factor on my Microsoft account now because I don't want to be spearfished, man. It was bad news, but they came after me hard through Discord, actually, and nearly got me. But anyway,
wow.
Minecraft's an amazing game and an amazing world.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the movie. I haven't even watched the trailer yet.
You should go in completely blind then.
Yeah,
you should watch it completely blind. I mean, that's very funny. That's a very funny thought.
I got to interview at Roblox for their director of UX, and I didn't get it, obviously. But what was wild is when I was in there, I was with the creative director, like the head of the creative direction of Roblox, and we were in the hallway together having a drink or something. And I said to him, can I just ask you, why do people like a game that looks like this? No, it's Roblox at that time, at least, looked way worse than Minecraft. And Minecraft was not expected to be successful because of its incredibly pixelated look, but it had a charm to it that transcended its look, and it was popular in part because it was so pixelated. But I just, aesthetically speaking, I just don't jive with Roblox the way I do with Minecraft. And he looked me straight in the face and he goes, nobody knows, and we don't want to change it because they might go away and they might stop playing. So we're not gonna mess with it. They did actually have like a different character model version that's more rounded and more human proportions and stuff. And I think you can pick which one you want to see on your client. So that's a good UX solution for that problem. But those, that game still befuddles me a little bit. A lot of my friends absolutely go bananas for it, but I'm still a Minecraft player. I play it quite often.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since not that long. It was one of the last games I touched, but probably coming up on a year now since I've really gamed at all. But yeah, like Minecraft is one of my, if I am going to touch a game these days, because it's simultaneously it's still to this day genuinely scary. There's nothing worse than a creeper sound. When you're in the middle of something. That is genuinely the most terrifying sound I've ever heard in a video game. Silent Hill had nothing on that. And then at the same time, it's the most relaxing thing you can do. That music in the background, just
yeah, that's so great. Now, my son and I used to play it a lot. I think the best video game I've ever played was Portal 2 co-op with my son sitting next to me. Such an amazing game. But we used to play Minecraft a lot together, and he was mad at me one time for some reason. And we were in this deep, dark cave, and he's not saying anything. He's sitting right next to me. He's not saying anything for a couple of minutes. I'm like, what's going on? And his character comes walking up the path, and he's sitting next to me. He says, I brought a friend. And I was like, I look over and it's a creeper and it kills both of us. It scared the crap out of me, man. So bad.
Wow. Terrible.
So it's still an in-joke with us. We'll say, I brought a friend, and we'll remember that moment.
That's terrible. I'd be so ticked. Yeah. Oh, fun times.
Oh, so good.
I was gonna so you mentioned, it was something I thought of earlier. When you were talking about the actual explanation behind Demon Hunter in the name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, so I'm curious if that's where kind of the fantasy element comes in, because I hadn't seen any hint of fantasy in anything you'd said about the book yet. And then you mentioned the potential for a fantasy book after.
Yeah, they wouldn't be connected really.
Yeah. Well, the daemon is an actual thing in programming, correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it operates at the root level of a system, and I just thought it was the parallels between demons who have to be exorcised and cast out and possess things. Obviously, that's why whoever decided on the term daemon for subroutines at the base level of a system, that's why they chose that, I'm sure. But it's just so nice. Faith Faraday is like a modern day exorcist, casting out demons or daemons in this case with a
katana or whatever.
With a katana, yeah. No, it's funny that the katana is a found weapon. She takes it off of a mecha samurai she duels in the Hollow. But I have a fun fight scene with that. We were actually talking about it on Twitter yesterday about some of these movies showing people smaller builds being able to karate kick 6'4", 300-pound guy and beat them. It just never actually happens. And when it does get shown in movies, you kind of have to get creative to make it plausible, in my opinion. So one of the things I loved in Iron Man 1 movie was Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow, pretty much climbing up dudes and spinning around like a top and doing like a leg lock on their heads and flipping them over. It looks elegant and badass.
A lot of work to get them down.
Yeah. And it's totally, David and Goliath type of thing where she has to climb up them and do all that stuff. So inspired by that, by Scarlett Johansson, thoroughly inspiring person. I have Faith climb up the 8-foot tall mecha samurai. She crawls over him onto his back, locks her legs around his neck, and jams her hairpins into his armpits to stop him from grabbing her. And then she lockpicks the access panel on his lower back, on his lumbar area, while he's spinning around trying to shake her off. And her hair's flying now because she doesn't have the hairpins in anymore, and she's She used them as weapons, and she's trying to do the lockpicking thing. And I took some sayings from the lockpicking lawyer. Have you heard of this guy? He's mega famous he's the most famous lockpicking lock sport guy.
Oh, he's the guy who hits the lock with the lock to unlock the lock.
I don't know if he did that. I've seen that, but lockpicking lawyer, anybody watching here on YouTube, you can watch him. He never shows his face, but he has one of those very soothing voices, and people send him challenge locks in the mail, and he'll open them on camera, pick them, and then in like a minute. But he has a very specific cadence. And anyway, it's not as cool if you haven't heard it, but I have Faith go through the same cadence in her head. Binding on pin 1, I feel a click on pin 2, pin 3 is a little loose. It's this thing that's super familiar to his fans. And I have her do that as the robot's spinning and trying to cast her off. And I call it combat lock picking. And,
it's gotta be hard to focus.
And when she gets the panel open, she uses one of her. I have my lock picks right here actually. She uses a turning tool like this to short the circuit board. She drops this across the circuit board to short it and to kill the mecha samurai. So that's a lot of fun. But once the book is ready, I'm going to send a copy to the lockpicking lawyer and just highlight the part where I quoted him, and maybe he'll like it. I don't know.
Well, so it's still in copy editing. Did you say what kind of rough timeline you have? Roughly when?
Yeah, when's the release?
Yeah,
that's a good question. My copy editor gave me 6 weeks deadline, but his father passed, so I haven't emailed him about it. It's been 3 weeks, but the guy is so generous with his time and his creative energy, and he just lost his dad, I believe. So I don't want to bother him about it. So when it gets back, depending upon the how much effort and time it needs to address the copy edits, Tim, you would know much more about that than I would. But soon after that, because everything else is ready. The cover's ready. I got good feedback from the beta readers. All the cultural sensitivity reading, it's all ready. So I figure the next couple of months. So I don't have any external forces pulling on me to publish. It's just me when I want to do it. But I get the feeling, and you guys can tell me more, that the pressure might build a little bit once you get those readers, and they're like, "When's the next one?" So this book does end in a satisfying ending. That I went to great lengths to make sure that the resolution at the end of this book is very satisfying and answers a lot of questions. But there's still enough for a sequel, and the current plan is 3. And I promise I won't pull a Robert Jordan. If it gets really popular, maybe I can stretch it out a couple, because I do have the end of the Faith Faraday story in my head. I've written it down too, so I won't lose it. I know how it all ends, but there's a lot of story to tell. And as I'm doing this anthology entry, it's just as a discovery writer, as a pantser, it just exponentially expands into really cool avenues. And there's so much kismet, so much serendipity, happy accidents. The other day, I was having one of my lesser known characters. He needs to get to work in Mount Fuji in the Hollow. And I'm scoping out with Google Maps around Mount Fuji, between Mount Fuji and Tokyo, where he might be coming from and what train he might be taking. And in the area I'm looking, I see there is a maglev test track right there, right around where I was looking. I'm like, holy shit, what's this about? So I do some research on it, and it turns out it's they're going to be upgrading their Shinkansen, their bullet train, which is almost like an extra character in my book. The Shinkansen shows up 4 times, I think, in my book. And I had a friend of mine show my book cover while riding the Shinkansen with Mount Fuji in the background, as he and his husband were on a round the world trip. And I'm like, can you do this? And he's like, yeah, sure. So nice to see my book cover with Mount Fuji behind it. So great. But anyway, they're building a maglev. They're going to start constructing it in 2027. So that's plenty of time for it to exist in my book, right?
Yeah.
So he is a nuclear physicist, and he's all into electromagnetic energy. He has a a kind of a cross between an Iron Man exoskeleton suit and how Magneto flies around. Magneto can only fly when there's metal around, right? And same for him. So he needs to get to work in a big hurry because there's a problem with the reactor, the fusion reactor. So he steps off the Shinkansen maglev, the fastest mass transit vehicle in the world at this point, and he gets into his exoskeleton suit and he flies along the train tracks to get to work 20 minutes faster. But it's the fact that I had already had the electromagnetic suit and the nuclear physicist guy needing to get to work, and there just turned out to be a maglev train test course exactly where I needed it to be in Japan. That's just a nuts coincidence. And things like that, I probably have 10 stories like that from the book I've already written that happened like that, where I explored what actually exists now in Japan and found that it just, like Tetris pieces, it was always the perfect fit into the book.
Definitely adds a whole other dynamic to writing when you actually are basing it in a real place. So you have to do that research anyway, and then match your world to the existing one, as opposed to just pure discovery, which yeah, I mean, it's liberating, but it's, I don't know, you don't get that same sense of serendipity as you do, but I don't know, that's very cool. I've always been tempted to try my hand at historical fiction, coming from my history background.
Wow.
But I mean, that's tough. That's a whole other, I mean, but that's the point, is for moments like these, it would be very tempting.
I've got a book for you about, if you can remind me in a second, the historical fiction book you might like. But the Harry Potter platform 3 3/4 or something like that. How people go there and they've made up a little thing where the cart is the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
There's Faith Faraday's family lives in the 51st floor of a particular building in Shinjuku in Tokyo. And if you go to the website for this building that exists today, there's nothing on the 51st floor or on the 50th floor. There's a museum on 47, 48, and 49, and then nothing's mentioned. And then there's a restaurant called 51st. What's on the 50th floor? So I stuck her house there. That's where her apartment is, on a floor that doesn't exist in a massively famous building in the middle of Tokyo.
You might get some visitors.
Yeah, I hope so.
From the government saying, "I didn't know about our floor."
That's actually something that my sensitivity reader was saying. Are you allowed to do that? I'm like, well, I think I am. Yes, it's a fiction book. I think I'm allowed to do that. But anyway, she likes the rules, but that's okay. You don't have to do everything your sensitivity reader says. I'm going to go ahead and put her apartment on the 50th floor, even though it might get me in trouble. That's okay. But to the point I was going to make, Tim, one of the best historical fiction books I've read is Past Watch: The Redemption of Christopher Columbus by Orson Scott Card, who wrote Ender's Game.
Okay, yeah.
And it's about a post-apocalyptic world that is so far gone that there's not enough genetic diversity amongst the humans to go on for much longer. They just can't. And they devote themselves to looking back in time. They figure out a time viewing machine, to like a camera that looks back in time. And they're obsessed with where it all went wrong. And they, through this time machine viewer thing, they figure it's Christopher Columbus. That's where it all went wrong. Is if he hadn't sailed west when he did, the people of the native folks of Americas would have been able to get their technology up to par to deal with Europeans when they did arrive later. And they figure, yeah, that's where it went wrong. And then somebody figures out a way to listen with this viewer, and then they enhance it a little bit more where they can send an object back. So they're like, why don't we fuck with Christopher Columbus and send him a vision with a little holo projector that makes him think it's the Holy Spirit? Because apparently that was like a thing. Like the Holy Spirit said, "Go west, young man," and he did in real history. So they're like, let's send him one that says, "No, don't." And and when they go to do that, they find out that some other timeline has already done that in order to send him west. It's a little bit of a time paradox. They're like, why did they want to send him west? What was so bad about the Aztecs and the other cultures that were there at the time that they needed to send Columbus west to interrupt them? And it's a great book. I recommend it to one of my Mexican friends who's really into Aztec culture, and he just ate it right up, loved it.
Fair. Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good.
That reminds me of, I mean, this is a total non sequitur, but it just comes to mind. And I bet I wouldn't be surprised if they got it from the book, depending on when that came out. But if you've seen Deja Vu with Denzel, in a much shorter time frame, but it's the exact same concept of, you know, at first they have a machine that can look back in time and only for a select window. And then as the movie unfolds, they
get better at it.
They can do a little bit more with it. Yeah.
That's so cool.
The whole premise of that movie is
well,
literally
that idea's been around since that Project Looking Glass conspiracy theory, right? I don't know when that was first. The conspiracy theory is that the Catholic Church has one of these things, and they have it like locked away in the Vatican.
That would be wild.
But wow,
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm curious.
Project Looking Glass. It's very fascinating reading.
Okay. Yeah.
It would explain a lot of Mandela effect stuff.
Yeah. Oh shoot! Maybe it'll come back to me a bit. I had a Mandela effect moment just yesterday, and I don't know why I'm forgetting what it was, but it was really funny. If it comes to me, I'll say it anyways. Yeah, because it happens, and sometimes you're like, "There's no way it was that." I know we have fallible memories, but wow, sometimes you're Anyways. Well, we are coming up on. Look at that. I mean, yeah, we you know, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah,
we're coming up on a 2-hour mark. So yeah, I mean I think that's becoming our average. So you know, nothing wrong with that.
You have anything else you'd like to say here at the end?
Oh yeah, I do actually. I wanted to do a couple shout outs to some of my people who have helped me out on X. I gave a little list. Be nice if they're in the description, because these are. I think I want to start a little tradition. If not for you guys, if you want to pick it up too, I think I'm going to do it. I think it's cool what EL did yesterday when not yesterday. I watched it yesterday, but when he was on this show, and he gave props to both of you for your awesome books and talked about them. Obviously read them, and I thought that's really cool. And so I thought I would say some shout outs to some folks that have helped me out as a debut author. So the first one being Dr. Ketzer, goes by Wisteroverse on Twitter. She and I have had long DM chats about representation and how important it is that if you don't necessarily have a lived experience of a culture or of a situation, it's super important to do your homework and do your research, talk to people. There's a dude I told that to on Twitter a couple of days ago, who says he's going to review bomb me because I said you should really talk to people who have had suicide touch their lives. And he's like, screw you, man. I'm like, let's not. But Wisteroverse, she and I were talking about that. And if you don't have the direct experiences in these touchy subjects or in a culture, I think you can still write about them, but you just have to be, do your research, do your homework, be sensitive about it, and double check your work. Like I thought I was in a good spot with my representation of Japan and its culture, but I made mistakes, and I'm so glad I hired a sensitivity reader to catch them. Mm-hmm. So,
good timing,
Mike Molman. Yes. So Mike, we got 1/4 of his cover. And to get the full cover, he's got to go on more shows to get more pieces. So
you don't know anybody, do you, Mike? So second on my list is Mike. It was like 6 months ago. I reached out to Mike after watching several of his shows and asked out of the blue, like, I'm this newbie author. I don't know what I'm doing. Can I bend your ear for a while? And it was at least an hour and a half, maybe it was 2 hours. He and I just hung out on a Zoom. He answered all my questions, and he was so generous with his time and his energy and his creative juice. And it was great. So thank you, Mike. And good timing, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So Mike and Ro are two of the kings of this space. They're just two absolute gems of human beings. So yeah, you couldn't have picked a better guy to talk to about any of this.
It was great. It's I've seen the advice of ask if you see somebody who knows their shit, ask them, your questions, and maybe they'll be generous enough to answer you. So, and Mike definitely was. That was amazing. And third and last on my list is Jessica Barberi. She has an amazing website that supports her story with lots of imagery and backstory, and kind of like what I was talking about with Dan Brown having that puzzle website thing. It was like an extra experience after the book to experience that after I finished Angels and Demons. And she and I have had some long discussions on Twitter about world building and the beautiful imagery she has on her site and how much extra depth it adds to her characters. It's a medium that we should take advantage of more, I think. I mean, imagine if Tolkien got to have his own website where he just talked a lot about, Gandalf's backstory or something like that. It would be so amazing. And we can do that now, and almost anybody can do that. It's one of the wonderful things about technology is so democratizing. It empowers people who may not have any technical skills to go and fire up a Squarespace or whatever and put their world out on the internet for everybody to see. So there you go. There's my 3 shout outs, and I'm calling it Nathan's Notebook, and I'm going to do 3 shout outs for every interview I do. And I'm going to have a Nathan's Notebook section on my website, ff7.com, eventually. So
that's nice.
And if I read out your name and you don't want to be on my list, let me know. Otherwise, but I think you will. I think everybody will.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a great idea, and that's one of the nice things about this community. Like you said, it's democratizing because, especially for self-published authors, and these amazing opportunities we have. It's also hard. It's hard to learn a lot of these new skills, and the fact that we have a community like this that's so willing to be supportive, the fact that you can just reach out to someone and have a hour and a half Zoom call about these questions, that's incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I'll put myself out there too, is that I do have a lot of expertise around websites and user experience and branding and marketing and those kinds of things in the video game world anyway, but there's a lot of overlap. Yeah. So anybody out there, if you're an indie author and you want me to take a look at your website or your newsletter and give you some feedback, absolutely willing to do it. Just find me on Twitter, on X, Nathan the Author.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, if you want to look at my website, give me advice. I am all for it.
Absolutely.
And I'll get there eventually. But yeah, no, that's so.
You've got a good plan. I do still think the direct link to the book is the best critical path for the user. Is it just fewer steps for them to have to get to the purchase decision? And Amazon does a good job of selling the book, obviously. So that's cool.
I think different strategies for different people, because I think websites have worked very well for some authors I know and not as well for others. And I want to make mine as a resource, on top of the book. So you go there for maps, for illustrations, for an index, things like that, But,
there's a guy on, I don't remember his name right now. There's a indie author on YouTube who talks about the craft of writing a lot. And he has a theory that book trailers most of the time do more harm than good, because they come across looking amateur compared to the movie trailers we're all used to seeing. Yeah. If you see the latest Jurassic Park and then you see 9 out of the 10 book trailers, and he said that there was some market research done and that it hurt sales more than it helped them, which is why, I think he's right.
I'll get a book trailer done when I can get it up to par with an ESO or Star Wars Old Republic cinematic trailer. Until I have that, forget it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The AI stuff is looking really good. So that
unless it's
there you go.
You might piss off some people though if you do an AI trailer.
Yeah.
I think some of these if it's super minimalistic, if it's just like an animated ad, there was a video I saw yesterday. There's some controversy about the latest Hunger Games casting, I think. And I don't remember what the controversy was, but it was really beautiful. Zoom in on the script of a page of a book. And then there was this wash effect where it washed away all the letters except for the character name. It's just so beautiful. It's just a little animation. And it was super compelling. And it wasn't a movie trailer, right? It wasn't a trailer. It was just an animated ad that zoomed in on a character name who you might be very invested in. that I think is effective. But trying to go toe to toe with Hollywood with movie trailers, with a book trailer, unless I can, go up against them, even Steven, I don't think I'll do it.
Yeah.
And also, you're promising different things. Movie trailer, it's very visual, very exciting. Book trailer, you have these visuals and these things, and then it reveals it's words, it's a book, and then people go, "Oh, I thought that was a thing I was going to watch." And
that too, yeah, it's kind of a bait and switch.
That's an important point. When I first joined Sony, a lot of their .coms for their products, their games, you couldn't tell it was a video game when you first go to their website. And part of my discipline of user experience is you got to know what the thing is within 3 seconds of getting there. If you're wondering if it's a movie or if it's a book or if it's a graphic novel, that's no good, man. You can't do that to people.
Yeah. Well, so on that note, tell us again where we can find you, and I obviously, everyone keep an eye and an ear out for the next cover reveals and for the book itself when it comes out. But yeah, tell us again where we can find you. Anyone who wants to learn more.
ff7.com. That's right now that points to a Substack, which will translate into the blog in the future. But ff7.com will in the next couple months go to my full book website just about the book. And for Faith Faraday, Seventh Circuit Damon Hunter, that's the character. But so yeah, if you want to bookmark that and check, I do. That is currently an in-universe blog as if Faith is posting. So there's lots of technologies and things that she's exploring in this future Tokyo that she posts up there. It's actually authored by Faith Faraday, right? She has her own Twitter account too.
Cool.
And her own Insta,
separate from yours, yeah, right.
Yeah, separate from mine. She has her own social presence, but I don't check her very often, so I don't know. I don't know if people are talking to her, but that's where you should go. ff7.com.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, Nathan.
Thanks, fellas, and I appreciate it, especially because I don't have a book yet, but everybody else you've talked to has book, so I really appreciate you, giving airtime to a debut author who is as yet unproven. But I think you're gonna like. I'll send you both copies, obviously, but
cool.
I think you'll like it if you like sci-fi, if you like Blade Runner type of kind of an Ender's Game, Blade Runner, if you like those kinds of books.
I love Ender's Game, yeah.
And I tend to lean away from long, like space opera style sci-fi. So like 80K coming from epic fantasy. That's a refreshing bite-sized action. Like I love that size and pacing.
It is very fast-paced. So some early feedback I got was it's a bit. I could easily double the size if I just put in more scene descriptions and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens. There's a lot of locations. There's a lot of action. But that's just the kind of thing I would like to read. So that's why I wrote it that way. But thank you both,
especially for the first book. Really good. Yeah.
Thanks again, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Cheers. Pleasure having you on.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Cheers, everyone. And you know the drill if you're watching, and if you're watching the replay, give us a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will do the awkward wave now, and the stream will end. And see you next time. Next time we will be on with Mike Molman and Ro Bushy for Bald and Balding. So yeah, we're gonna do it.
This wave way too early.
I'm having.
That's what makes it awkward.